Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Almighty God, Allah, who came to us in the wilderness of North America, in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, the great Mahdi, the one that the world has been looking for the last 2,000 years of world history. That mighty and holy one that the scripture says came from Mount Paran, somewhere in the ancient land of our forefathers. This holy one came to deliver you and I. And he found one special man, one special servant who was born for the job to raise you and I to a level of civilization, to a level of culture that would bring a new universal change in the entire world. And that mighty, powerful one was chosen from the back hills of Georgia.
That's right.
From little Sandersville, Georgia.
That's right.
Who was raised in the fields of Georgia. Who didn't get the high education. Who had to give up his education at the age of 4. But we have a man in history who began his education at the age of 4, but it was a divine education that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and a man named Jesus was prepared in his youth to meet Almighty God Allah in person. And I know that many people get frightened. God in person? That can't be true. Can you show me the power of your God against the power of the God that we are preaching?
Come on, girl.
If you can, as Muhammad of 1400 years ago, may the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon him, challenged the delegation of Christians when they came to challenge him about the Jesus and the Messiah. And he challenged them to pray to see if his God was true, or if their God was true. And so did Elijah, didn't he?
That's right.
To the 400 false prophets of Baal.
That's right.
He said, if God be God, then follow him. And if Baal or the devil be God, then follow him. So Elijah brings us to the crossroads. Is that right?
That's right.
He puts before us a choice. And we can make that decision.
Right.
To follow God into the new kingdom or go down with the devil in his hell.
That's right.
So I am opening with these words of praise to my God and to our God, if we would just know him as he is. That he is so magnificent that he came in the image of the flesh to show you and I our great potential. That we too could return back to the God family the way it was with our ancient ancestors. Thousands and thousands and millions and billions and trillions of years ago.
Yes, all right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad received from Master Farrakhan Muhammad not just black history as we coin it for this month of February.
Come on. Come on.
But he brought us God black history.
Yes, ma'am.
That has its origin in the fundamental principles and laws of the divine creation.
Come on. Yes, ma'am.
He takes us back when there was nothing but blackness.
Yes, ma'am.
When the heaven, or what we call the space, was referred to as a womb.
Right.
And a womb is a birthing chamber. Is that right?
That's right.
So the woman is represented in the heavens above and in the earth below.
That's right.
Not to be worshipped, but to be respected and loved for her ability to reproduce man.
Yeah, right. That's
So
right.
if we disrespect our women,
Yeah.
if we disrespect the womb womb that gave us birth,
All right.
then we are worse than the dogs of the planet.
Go ahead. That's right.
We must be conscious of the development of the God part of us. If we begin to show the world who we are, then they will treat us with the respect that we deserve.
That's right.
But we cannot do it by only condemning our open enemy.
All right.
We have got to use fire against his fire.
Yes, ma'am.
And our fire takes us back to the origin of ourselves with Almighty God Allah.
Yes, ma'am.
The Caucasian, a white race, they have scientists among them who know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came right on time.
That's right.
There are scientists in the United States government who recognize Master Farrakhan Muhammad
That's right.
as the great grand master of the knowledge and wisdom that they were expecting.
Yes, ma'am.
That one day, that the grand master would appear.
All right.
As you read it in the Bible, it tells you that God looked down upon his people who were suffering
Yes, ma'am.
by reason of the taskmasters. Is
That's
that right?
That's right.
And he said, what? I have come down to visit them.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't say that he sent a spook or a
Right.
spirit or a messenger. He said, I come face to face. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Moses, of all of the lines of the prophets, was the only one to whom God spoke
All right.
face to face. Why did he tell us that? Because he, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was the only one who spoke with God face to face.
Come on.
Every step of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad can be read in the light of history.
That's right.
Every step can be read in the light of the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran.
Yes, ma'am.
I said Holy Bible, didn't I? It is holy if we understand it.
That's right.
But it is poison if we don't understand
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So we have before us the greatest example of spirituality and divine guidance that we will ever receive again. Through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and through Master Farrakhan Muhammad, another noble king and servant was born.
Right.
Minister Louis Farrakhan,
Yes, ma'am.
who also carries the name Muhammad.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was chosen as all of those noble messengers and prophets were chosen. Only in the history of Moses do we find another one working with him. Is that right?
That's right.
And his name was Aaron. And both Aaron and Moses were given the mission to speak a gentle word to Pharaoh. Is that right?
That's right.
So what was the Million-Man March?
Come on.
The Million-Man March was not something that Minister Farrakhan just made up in his mind, nor was it something that any other religious leader could have possibly accomplished if it was just themselves talking. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
It is a sign to the United States government, to our people, and to all the nations of the world that God is present in America and is dealing with Pharaoh and the United States government.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly on the 16th day of, was it November? Or, no, the government was what? Shut down. Is that right? And they have been struggling over the budget problems, is that right? Up until now. What was that all about?
Come on.
Why was it announced?
Listen.
On the very next day, after October 16th,
Now.
that somewhere out in the galaxies of stars, that two more planets were discovered with their own sun. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, ma'am. Very interesting.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad had mastered the knowledge of the original creator of the heavens and earth, that he too could be like his father and sit in darkness and recreate a whole new galaxy.
Listen.
With planets and life.
That's right.
He told us that.
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to his departure. There is nothing that is happening on this planet today, and there is nothing that will continue to happen into the 21st century that you all in this room and outside of this room will not bear witness that Almighty God Allah has visited us in America, in the flesh, and you will come to bear witness that the work of Elijah and the work of Minister Louis Farrakhan is right and exact.
That's right.
So now, I opened kind of a little bit fiery and kind of went off a little bit, but Almighty God Allah is the power and the spirit that is inspiring and guiding men and women and children to stand up and to seek unto our own kind. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
To come together, to bond together as family. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Even Mr. Clinton said in his union or state union address, what did he say? He sounded like he was mimicking Minister Farrakhan. He laid out a 7-point program that sounded like the 8-point program of atonement, didn't it? He wants to deal with family, right? Bringing family together. He wants to eliminate violence and crime. Is that right? Yes, because he knows that on a political platform for re-election, that the spiritual man in the midst of America is the signal for change. And in the book of Daniel, it indicates that Daniel received favor. Is that right? In the sight of the king after he interpreted the dreams. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. And it says that Daniel became famous in the land. Is that right?
That's right.
And he was called forward into the court before the king. And he interpreted the writing on the wall. Is that right? And that writing on the wall had to do with what? Number. Your kingdom has been what? Numbered. And weighed in the balance. And has been found wanting. Is that right? So when Minister Louis Farrakhan opened up with his electrifying speech on October the 16th, he began with what? Number. He started by calling out all of the dimensions of the monuments that were on the mall.
That's
Is that
right. That's right.
And if you take the word mall, which begins with an M, and you turn it upside down, you have a what? A W. Is that right? So the writing was on the mall and the wall. And the number 19 happens to be the measurement of the Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial is 19 feet high by 19 feet wide. Okay? The Jefferson Monument or Memorial also measures 19 feet high. Is that a coincidence?
No, ma'am.
Why? Because the founding fathers of this country were organized in a very secretive manner.
That's right.
Very carefully selected, who had a very specific knowledge that they call masonry.
That's right.
And when you cross over the Potomac River and you go over to Virginia, you will go to the Washington Memorial Masonic building, and he was the first president. And inside you will see pictures of fezzes. Who wears the fez? Muslims.
That's right.
You will see crescents and stars, and you'll also see a scimitar. And the scimitar means that if you tell the secret, all right,
Come on.
then your head would be taken off
That's right.
with a sword.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? So all of the Masons and the Shriners in this country, including many who were presidents of this country, also know that at a certain point they are obligated to help in the delivery of the black ex-slaves in America.
All right. Right.
They are sworn to an oath. So President Clinton responded to the presence of Minister Farrakhan. He could not, would not condemn him by name, did he?
That's right. That's right.
But yet he lauded the achievement and the example of all who stood up on that day of the Million Man March.
That's right.
And now it is verified in some of his statements that he has made from that moment till this moment. Daniel was given third place in the kingdom. He was even named as president. Now, isn't that interesting? Minister Farrakhan talked about a third political force. Is that right?
That's right.
In the country.
That's right.
A third political force that would be able to bring forward to the public resolutions and policies that will be good for our people. Is that right?
Right.
And that has never happened in the history of the United States.
All right.
Myself as a woman, having been chosen as one of the speakers along with the most beautiful women that were on that podium, I was extremely honored and very happy to participate. And when I stood up and looked at all of the sea of beautiful faces of black men and our sons and our husbands and our relatives, we were filled with so much pride because that is the beginning. This is the turning point. And America and the world will never be the same.
That's right.
Because of your effort. And now the question remains. Where do we go from there?
Come on.
Where do we go from here? The Million Man March was the beginning of the intoning of a new spirit among our people in America. And it does not leave out the Native American. It does not leave out the Mexicans or the Hispanic populations. It does not leave out those of Asian descent. It does not leave out any of our original people on the planet Earth.
Come on.
We are a family. And when we have the knowledge of ourselves, we know that in the original population that was given to us to study by Master Farad Muhammad, that our population of the black man included the Indians. Is that right?
That's right.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that one day, the black man, the Indian, the Mexican, and all of our original indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere would come together and form a coalition of unity and peace.
Yes, ma'am.
Which would begin the dynamics of a new world government.
Team.
With no weapons and no guns, no alcohol, no dope,
That's right.
no vice,
Come on.
no violence,
Teach.
no wife beating,
Come on.
no killing.
That's right.
This is the sign of the Million Man March that shocked the world. That how could millions of black men and women stand up? And there was no fighting.
That's right.
There was no arguing.
That's right.
There was no pistol shooting.
That's right.
There was none of this that happened on that mall. They found no dope
That's right.
hanging around. They found not even any trash on the ground.
That's right.
So, is that enough to tell us that God is present? Because if we were alone, we would have cut up.
That's right.
We would have torn up. Brothers and sisters, I was inspired because Minister Farrakhan asked all of us to do some very specific things in preparation for the Women on March. He asked us to reconcile our differences.
That's right. All right. That's right.
He said that we had to make a peace offering, to make a gift offering, to make a sacrifice. Is that right?
That's right.
And so each one of us, in our own way, either accepted to do so or we have held back. And as a result, we are being separated and divided within the ranks, within the house of Islam and outside of the house of Islam. Because if you are so weak in our ability to follow such simple instructions of truth, how could we be chosen by God to take the next step into a better world that will reverse the trend of wickedness and bring about righteousness?
Yes, ma'am.
God is looking for righteous vessels.
Yes, ma'am.
Even if he can only get 144,000. He will get that 144,000 and the rest will go to hell.
That's right.
He can take one of us if it's necessary.
That's right.
He did take Elijah Muhammad.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
And that's one powerful black man.
That's right.
And if you, for a moment, think that you have heard the last of Elijah Muhammad, just stick around.
Come on. That's right.
Did you know that it was reported on the day of the march, early in the morning, from sisters and from brothers, by twos and threes at a time, that they saw some objects over the mall. These objects that the scientists of this world call UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And you notice that the United States government is proceeding at a very rapid pace in their space program. Is that right? And they now have their ears tuned up, picking up radio frequencies. Is that right? And they're saying, oh, there must be life now in outer space, life in other galaxies. This is not new for black people. This is not new for the Native Americans. We all know that in some way we're connected to the heavens, through the stars, through the movements of the moon and the sun and the planets. We've always known that there was life on other planets. There are civilizations on other planets. They're not teaching that old thing. And in our Bible as well, it says that he would allow our open enemy to take a peek, is that right? Into the heavens. And then after he allowed him to take a peek into the heavens, then he would bring him down into the sides of hell. Is that right? And he said that you used to be able to listen to the conversations. What conversation? Of the mighty wise souls of our people tuning in. That's what they're talking about. And they're trying to master that right now as a means of deceiving you and I. The scientists in Russia and the scientists in Scandinavia, in Europe and in America are using mind games in order to confuse the people. They're even going to try to present their rendition, their idea of an invasion from outer space. Don't be surprised.
That's right.
Who are these grays? Who are these little green men that they're talking about? What are they trying to put on our mind? And what are these half-headed and half-insect creatures that are all of a sudden being reported here and there and almost everywhere? What is this abduction and pregnancies taking place with some extraterrestrials that need us in order to reproduce themselves? Huh? Is this science fiction? Is this the era of the dinosaurs back again? I mean, this is a very wise scientist. I am thinking about the Caucasian race. They were not created fools. When they were created from their father, who was us, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Black man, you produced an experiment that got wild.
That's right.
And he invents and makes up all kinds of madness. And it takes us aeons of years to try to discriminate what is the truth from the falsehood. So he's very, very wise. And he's using his press, that is his ranks of demonology, in order to plant further seeds to keep us divided. So the idea is that he wanted to destroy all of the indigenous people. So whatever history we read, to the Aboriginals of Australia, to the Maoris of New Zealand, is that right? To the people of Hawaii, to the islands of the Pacific, to the West Indies, to the Caribbean, to Brazil, to South America, to Alaska. The story is the same. They move in with their instruments of war. They move in pretending to be the return of some kinds of gods. And at the same time, they go and they attack our women. Degrade our women. Bring them down to nothing. So that every time they lighten up the race, then those who are lighter think they are better than those who are darker. God today is not looking on the outside. He's going to take us if we're mulatto, light, brown, or black, if our heart is right. Okay? We are going to bring in, according to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a righteous civilization that will never, ever be destroyed again.
That's right. Go ahead.
I also want to share with you, before I get into our very special presentation, that I thank Allah and I thank Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, ma'am.
For having enough faith and confidence in me to allow me to travel to many distant places here and there. And he has allowed me out of the spirit of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has allowed me. He would say to some of his laborers, his ministers, family members in the palace, 4855 South Woodlawn Avenue, the residence of Minister Louis Farrakhan and his family today. He said, my wife can speak many different languages. He said, my wife climbs up into the mountains and she goes down into the jungle habitats. And first, I thought he was going to get after me, for having that kind of adventure spirit. But rather, he was saying that out of that kind of spirit, we will be able to reach all of our people. And we will be able to share with them the wisdom, whether it's in a little native village in the mountains, that we are not too proud to sit down with our brothers in the dust, to walk in the caravan in the desert, to go down into the jungle with the Aborigines, to climb up into the Andes to talk to our people in Peru. That we have to reach out because all of our people united together, we will become the great nation of righteousness once again. the second part of my presentation. I want to talk about what Minister Louis Farrakhan has inspired as a result of his example and his words that have gone deeply into the heart, to be able to manifest the gifts of the Spirit.
Right.
You know, the Bible says that God's Spirit would move among the people in the last day.
That's right.
And they would begin to speak in different tongues. Is that right?
That's right. Right.
Now, of these different tongues is not just necessarily language, but it's also the spirit of the spiritual gifts that will be utilized to build the kingdom.
Come on.
Now, in order to build the kingdom on the basis of righteousness, we have got to interrupt and intersect all of the images that have been created by our enemy in films,
Yes, ma'am.
television,
That's right.
on the radio,
Yeah.
Right.
magazines,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Right.
newspapers.
Come on.
We want to intersect that image that they have tried to make of us
That's right.
and show them and the world who we really are.
That's right.
We want to bring into the atmosphere the frequency of new tones and new sounds
All right.
to break Satan's grip
That's right.
on the minds and the thinking and the hearts of
Go
our
ahead.
children.
Go ahead. That's right.
So I said to our beloved minister, the minister, I want to bring a gift before the altar. And I was inspired to begin the process of first writing a book called The Million Man March. And at the bottom it says, Women in Support of the Million Man March.
Go ahead, Sister Tynnetta.
And we had a group of marvelous sisters from Washington, D.C. who got all excited with the idea that we were going to visit all of the monuments on the mall and we were going to learn the secrets.
Go ahead.
The secrets of the measurements, the secret of the government that they are trying to use to trap us.
Come on.
They hit our ancestors in the head
That's right.
and buried them
Yeah.
in the Western Target.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So they are ruling by our wisdom.
Yeah.
Because they put us to sleep.
That's
So
right.
much to sleep that we didn't recognize
Come on.
that the democratic process of their government is something that we have always practiced.
Go ahead.
The constitutionality of this government must be challenged.
Come on.
That you robbed and you stole
Go ahead. That's
from the black man.
That's it.
In order for you to rule like Dracula has to drain blood.
Come on.
The only thing that destroyed Dracula was what? Light. So we're going to turn on the light. Now, we were inspired to write this book.
Yeah.
And we found out that not too many people had an opportunity to know that we had put together a scientific mathematical study
Come on.
that can be used as a study guide manual.
That's right.
We not only go into the dimensions and the history of these monuments, but in this little booklet, we take you into the origin of the United States government.
All right.
How it was founded.
All right.
On the base of the knowledge of our foreparents.
All right.
It tells you how the nation of Islam was established with the coming of Master Muhammad.
Yeah.
It tells you how the nation of Islam is to interact with the United States government.
All right.
It gives you a calendar by which you can use the number 4, which is foundation.
Come on.
And also the 4th chapter of the Holy Quran is called the women.
Yeah.
And we're going to show you in this little booklet how women with their children can sustain a community through a holy day calendar of activities. So that from morning, noon to night, we will make our homes a sanctuary of peace and of heaven on
Go
earth.
ahead.
interview from some of our pioneers, Sister Clara Muhammad and our brother, deceased, who also is in this booklet, Brother Abdullah. We had the last photos of Brother Sharif before he died. He is up in his 80s. He is an elder of Islam. But he lived to give support to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was on the run from the hypocrites back in the 1930s.
Yes, ma'am.
Sister Clara Muhammad, who also gave a home for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to live in while he was on the run from the hypocrites.
Go ahead.
Reverend Maxine Walker from Chicago, Illinois, who is a pastor over her own church. We have an interview with one of the leading metaphysicians of Mexico, who also is a scientist and has her own lab on Kirlian photography.
Come on.
Kirlian photography is the methodology that was discovered by the Russian scientists in which they can photograph the aura and the light vibrations around the body, and they can diagnose illness. And then they manipulate the body and bring energy back without giving you pills and drugs.
Go ahead. Come on. Watch out.
We also have an interview with one of the leading Indian activists from the Lakota Nation, Sister Tynnetta Lone Wolf. And so this book is full of very important information that we need to share. I wrote in this letter an open letter to the President, Bill Clinton, and his wife. And I received an answer. And one day we will talk about that. It came prior to the Million Man March. And I shared it with our beloved minister. And he said, we will wait and we will see.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Our brother Minister Tony Muhammad also spoke about a composition that I had created that was played on the day of the Million Man March.
Yeah.
Allah has blessed me to be able, within 1 week, after leaving Sandersville, Georgia, and having a wonderful, wonderful journey to the place of birth of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was able to see the humble home in which he was born. I went to the church where his father was the preacher. And when I arrived with a group of our delegation out of Atlanta, the preacher in the church said, yes, this was the church in which the father of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad pastored. And the church sits on the road called Elijah Pool Road. And from the church that leads to his home, it was like going through a really, really mystical experience to know that here a child was born and a child was given. And it was like going to the most humble of the humble of places, like a manger, and seeing the beauty of the natural countryside where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was born. So within that week, I was scheduled to go to Mexico City to do a recording with the members of the Symphonic Orchestra of Mexico, along with our brother Omar Tajani and brother Joe Okru from Ghana, and they accepted to travel to Mexico and to record with us the Arabic portions of this score. It is a very beautiful, I have to say, compositional work. I was overjoyed and I felt the spirit of all of the contributing artists. We also have a mezzo-soprano voice that is included in this score, a chorus that was selected in Mexico City, and a baritone singer along with our brothers from Ghana. So I want to play that for you sometime during this meeting, and I hope that you will enjoy it. And if you are interested, you may purchase it because we have now packaged it with a little story of how it was played on the day of the Million Man March.
Yes, ma'am.
Third, a gift that I wanted to give And that was a work that I had worked on for about 2 years, called Taha, the Final Call Symphonic Suite. Also recorded with the help of the Symphonic Orchestra of Mexico, but with the use of the indigenous instruments from many places around the world. The didgeridoo, which is an ancient instrument that almost sounds like the whining and the cry of Mother Earth. And we have incorporated in it very fascinating work of the instruments from India, the tabla, the sarod, and these artists that were chosen happen to be the finest interpreters of the Indian music in India today. They joined my efforts. In addition, I met a wonderful woman who turned out to be, her name Lily Yuan, who is the foremost interpreter of stringed instruments from China, the yangwing and the dulcimer. She also came to Mexico and accepted to support us in this project. So we are going to show that 24-minute, it's a demo, it's a work in progress, it's not, what you would say, 100% complete, but it will show you the elements of how everything came together. You will even see, you will not know it, so I have to explain it to you. You will see some effects, special visual effects that we achieved through the use of crystal and the use of laser. And what we did is we struck this crystal head, which is a copy or duplicate of the famous Mitchell head skull, which was discovered in Belize, in Honduras, in Central America. And it was discovered by an English explorer. And when they discovered it, they found, after it had gone under laboratory tests and investigation, that it was the most perfectly sculpted out of one piece of pure quartz crystal. And it is so magnificent, no flaws, only a few what they would call veils or clusters within the skull itself. So the question was raised, who is it? What is it? What does it mean? It was left by some ancient civilization and just plopped off in a Maya archaeological zone. Where did it come from and what does it mean? According to the legend, there were originally 22 of these stone or quartz crystal heads, and they were placed in different parts of the planet. Well, if we understand the properties of crystal and what crystal represents, we know that this technology that the Caucasian is using, they are exploring the use of crystal.
That's right.
In order for any satellite to move, they are harnessing the power of crystals.
That's right.
Watches, radio, transistors, they're harnessing the power of crystals.
That's right.
And crystal is the only thing that grows from a seed.
Yes.
And they even call it the mother seed, and it grows into a hexagonal shape, which is six-sided, like man, the number 6. And it can reflect, for some reason, a pulse vibration of electronic movement that is faster than the speed of light.
Wow.
And it is the only substance in our Earth that has the ability to interact with the electric pulses of the brain. They do not know what causes that, but it causes the individual who comes in contact with the pure quartz crystal to be magnified in their thoughts and also to see things that they ordinarily would not see. Crystal also has tone or sound. So what you're going to see in this little brief demo, which is 24 minutes, is a combination of art, music, sound, color, healing, medicine, all combined to produce a new kind of synthesis of sound. And I want to call this, to me, the beginning of a cultural revolution. So if we can make a contribution as the women of our nation, we would like to say to our brothers that we want to do our part to help to bring in the new educational system, to help to bring and stimulate the creative side of our children, and to spread this message throughout the communities. Okay? All right. Before we listen to this march, about Minister Louis Farrakhan, as I said, the great example and the one who inspired the presentation of these gifts at this particular time. I know, according to what he told us, that the enemy was prepared to launch an attack if we did the least thing in error. They had already marshaled the soldiers, military.
That's right.
Were stationed on the outskirts of the city. Is that true?
That's right, man. Very true.
Someone told me, they said, sister, it was a metaphysician. She said to me, she said, oh, it's very clear. This music, you have to play this music. She said, because what it will do, frequency, tones, and sound, it will put a protective shield around the brothers on the mall.
Come on, man.
I said, is that right? I said, well, inshallah. I said, I don't know if there's going to be enough time. I will try to get it to the minister in time, and he was waiting for me to bring it.
Yeah.
And he heard it just in time, about one day before the march.
That's right.
And he said, I want this to be on the program. So that's how it happened. But he also is a musician. Is that right?
That's right.
One of the finest violinists
That's right.
to interpret that instrument
That's right.
in the world.
That's right.
And he gave to us a gift of music.
Right. Right.
So to be able to respond by following the example and using music as a way to stimulate and to develop a higher cultural expression among our people, I am very, very happy and thankful to Allah for this wonderful opportunity. Finally, he spoke to us about, very briefly, about the significance of the 18th dynasty in Egypt. He made a reference to Akhenaten, the king who was the reformer and who brought in the change against all odds. Is that right? The priesthood was determined to destroy this new spiritual movement. Is that true? Because the idea was based on monotheism.
That's right.
Through the symbol of the sun. And isn't it interesting that the son of Atan, the one that is most popular, seen, has 19 rays coming down with the hand holding the Ankh, symbol of life. And it is interesting because that period of the 18th dynasty is called the Golden Age in Egyptian history. And it was a revolution in art, in music, in architecture, is that right? In all of the art forms. So, in a way, we have an opportunity to return back to that golden age, but to do so much more. We don't want to just imitate what our foreparents did, because their prayer is that we would do more. Is that right?
That's right.
That we would go on to rule the vast extent of the heavens and the earth.
That's right.
So if I may, if our brother is ready, the technical side, the Muslim song and March of Victory is dedicated to you. It's dedicated to our families, it's dedicated to our nation, it's dedicated to our people to help in the process of our re-education and our reform as a people in the building of a new civilization. The 110th surah is the surah by which I was inspired. All my compositions would come to me to play, and within 4 to 7 days, I would hear the intoning spirit. And I would always get the title for each composition, and the title always corresponded to a chapter of the Holy Quran. So this particular one is based on the 110th surah, the final chapter that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad at the time of the pilgrimage to Mecca. And it contains exactly 19 words, and it opens, of course, with the Bismillah statement, which contains 19 letters, and the first line contains 19 letters. So it's full of 19, and I didn't know it until I met Dr. Rashad Khalifa, who was doing the investigation with his computer, and discovered that the number 19 is all through Quranic revelation, which indicates that it is a telepathic code. And that this telepathic code changes the frequency and also, like a computer, feeds back to you information that you can use as you go on with the creative flow or the creative forces. So this particular composition was the very last one that was revealed to the Prophet at the time of his farewell pilgrimage at the holy city of Mecca. Is it ready to be played? We do have the voice of Omar Tijani, who does the call to prayer, and we have Labaik Allahumma Labaik, which is the choral portion that is always sung by all pilgrims when they go to the holy city of Mecca. Thank you. And in those words they say, "Oh God, here am I in thine august presence." And all they sing is the name Allah, Allah, the power to Allah. No other name is joined. And that is the only time when men and women pray together. They come together, they move together, and that is the fifth pillar of Islam. Is the composition prepared? All right. I'm sure it would have been very enjoyable if we could have had a live performance. Let's hope that we can have a live performance in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Bowl. Final presentation for this afternoon will be the 24-minute video. And we are not going to delay in presenting it to you, except that, may I say, there will be a bit of surprises. I wanted to say something first, but I think I will hold it until you see what you see. And then I will make a final comment on what you see. All right? Thank you very much. And now we will proceed with the video, Taha, taken from the 20th Surah of the Holy Quran, which means, "O man, listen to thy Lord." And it was the time when God was revealing to Moses the new teaching that would be received for the edification of his people and nation. Thank you. Ready?
Light.
In the beginning, there was only darkness. There was no motion or light or sound.
I wanted to share this gift with you and to commit myself to continuing this work and pray Allah that all of us will be inspired to bring out our gifts and our talents so that we can change the face of America and change the face of the world so that they will not make stereotypes out of us. From Mexico, from all of our people, as you can see, the coming together of family.
That's right.
The talking stones of prophecy are real.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
We're coming back together again.
That's right.
And may Allah bless us to be the wonderful family of righteousness to build God's new world kingdom of peace and righteousness.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything that you have heard, music, video, book on the Million Man March is available if you're interested, and you can see us at the back of this lovely auditorium. And I want to thank especially our brother, Minister Tony Muhammad, for giving me this really great privilege and opportunity to share with you this afternoon, and also to Sister Captain Alice Muhammad and to the Sisterhood, MGT, and GCC of Mosque 27 here in Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, of the angels, eh? So maybe it will be one day. Maybe we can put a frequency, raise a frequency in a shout here that will turn back all of the destruction that they say is going to happen out there. Okay? So thank you, brothers and sisters. And I turn the mic back to our beloved minister. Thank you again. Standing, or as you're about to leave, I want to tell you that our beloved brother, a rap artist, took on this project, and his wife. Isn't that something?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the surprise, and I said I would wait until you see it,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
believe it. And I want to thank both of them with all my heart. They were unable to come out this afternoon. But if you see them, you grab them, you hug them, and you say, the one wrapping himself up is Ice Cube, and it's in the Holy Quran to the rapper to wrap us. The number 19.
All praises due to Allah. Before Sister Tynnetta, y'all jumped the gun. We have a special presentation from the children, the youth of the mosque, to Sister Tynnetta Muhammad, the wife of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the mother of us all. Flowers while you're with us. We know the dead cannot smell the sweet smell of roses, only the living. So while you live, you're welcome. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, I don't know about you. I know you're so used to the banging music. But we got to get ourselves used to a universal music.
That's right.
This is a spiritual music that maybe you and I are not used to, but I think in the quiet of our own home, when we're just meditating and sitting around, as we say, chilling.
Yes, sir.
I think you should put that music on
Yes, sir.
when you want to get away from the riffraff and you're caught in the traffic here in Los Angeles.
All right.
Put the tape on and let the vibes flow through.
All right.
You know? Because the spirit not only moves, but it can remove.
That's right.
That's a new parliament type of music. From a woman, is that right? Yes. We here at Mosque number 27 definitely want to show some balance. So we thank our sister again for her presentation. I'm asking if get this book.
Yes, sir.
It's a powerful piece. So Sister Tynnetta will be signing the books. We will set up a space near the front so that we won't crowd the back. For those of you who want to get an autographed copy of the book, of course you have to purchase it for a low price of just $10.
Yes, sir.
I'm at $12. $12. That's what the cost would be. Also, we have videotapes, and I'm asking every believer. We have our sister, Sister Tynnetta, the wife of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm asking us to support her.
Yes, sir.
This is how she makes her living, by traveling and sharing with us, her experience and her knowledge as given to her by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Even if you don't want to purchase a book or already have, just come and give her a gift. Just let her know you love her. Just say thank you, sister.
Yes, sir.
Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
Y'all ain't mad at me.
No, sir.
I want everybody to get this book and let us study it and purchase the video. I think the videos are moving quite fast. I think there's about 15 copies. But of the cassette, we do have more. But for those of you who pre-purchase it, if we run out today, she will make sure that they are shipped back and we will handle those through the bookstore. The cost of that cassette tape is only $7. So we want everyone to be mindful. And at the end of the meeting, for the believers or guests who want to, and this is to help her. So, I want you to help me help her.
Yes,
all right? Yes, sir. At the end of the meeting, for those of you who want to take pictures with Sister Tynnetta, we will have you take pictures between our lovely universal flags. You can get a signing, but there will be a low fee for that as well. And all of that money will go to Sister Tynnetta and the photographer. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
All praise is due to Allah. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you are here for your very first time? Would you please raise your hand? Let's give our first time guest. We have our indigenous brothers and sisters here, and don't we want to hear from them?
Yes.
They have a message to bring from us, from our indigenous brothers and sisters of this part. So please, let's give way and let's hear from them what's going on in the community. Because again, we're bone of each other's bone and blood of each other's blood.
That's right.
And flesh of each other's flesh. So, Brother Hector, would you please give us the honor and introducing the guests? Y'all know Brother Hector, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's everywhere.
Assalamu alaikum. Mashika Dali in our language, Mashika, the Aztec people, the Mexican people from Mexico City, is a greeting to say Mashika Dali. It's our people move forward. That's our word in Nahuatl, in our language. So Mashika Dali. Great. My name is Hector, Brother Hector. I'm the General Army Speaker for Islam Mashika Nation, which is our warrior society. And I had a privilege to meet Brother Ruashden. He is the principal of the medicine man of the Shumash, of the Swordfish clan of the Shumash Nation. So I'd like to introduce Brother Ruashden to give a few words. We say Hakumes means hello and how are you doing?
Bye, sir.
It's good to see all you beautiful brothers and sisters here.
Yes, sir.
We know that my people, we come from, we call it Nsumak, and it's a land. It means the people of the earth. Some crazy white cracker anthropologist called it Nsumak.
All right.
That's all right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And,
Go ahead.
our land goes from what we call the city, now it's Malibu, but we call it Humalibu.
All right.
And it goes all the way up to Monterey.
All right.
My family, my great-grandfather Anastasio Guevara was born on the island of Sumac, out here. They call it now Santa Cruz Island.
All right.
My family comes from the village of Siuchtun, which is in Santa Barbara, and it means where it forks, the trade routes of our people.
Yes, sir.
Come on, teach us.
The spirits of my people call me Hugh, which means the brown pelican. The brown pelican is the keeper of the western gate.
Yes, sir.
He represents the wisdom of the elders. When I was a young man, I was given the gift of seeing into the spirit world.
All right.
And in the spirit world, they brought me my language.
They brought me my history for 30,000 years, my culture and my traditions.
Yes, sir.
My grandmothers, because in our way of life, our people, we have a matrilineal society. Our women, they're the boss.
All right.
And they enforce that too. We believe in our way of life that the indigenous peoples of this world, we're all related.
That's
You can take our DNA from the earth, and it's the same DNA that's in us.
That's right.
And it's that binds us together in our struggle.
Yeah.
One of the things that when we work with our people, we teach them, and it's hard because it's easy to hate the white man. Because he's worse than a cockroach, this guy. What we teach them is don't hate the white man, love your people first.
Yes.
Pretty soon you're going to look behind and your people aren't going to be healthy.
Right.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So we have to make sure that we love our people first.
That's right.
For us and all the indigenous peoples of this world, we know that our life, for whatever reasons now, is marked by struggle.
Yes. Right.
But that struggle is a struggle of love.
Yes. Right.
The struggle is a struggle of love for our ancestors,
That's right.
for our elders, and for our future generations.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And it's that struggle that keeps us, giving us hope.
Yes, sir.
We know that this thing that's come over to our lands and infected the whole world, these people, they haven't been here as long as us.
All right. All right.
They used to call us primitive, and then they found out that just meant that we were here first.
That's right.
When they found out we were here first, they had to come up with another way of talking to us.
All right. That's right.
So now the way we carry ourselves, what we're trying to do is to create a balance with all the indigenous peoples of the world. That we embrace all of us.
Yes.
And that we fight together.
All right.
And if that fight means educating our young ones to our history, we have a beautiful history.
That's right.
We have a lot to be proud of. Our people were scientists. They knew everything about the heavens.
That's
right.
This man came over here and put poison in our mind and told us we were stupid.
Yes, sir.
right.
But now what we are doing is giving back the language of our ancestors.
All right.
We have a young man who's, unfortunately, is not here, but his name is Kisan, and he's a 2-year-old young warrior. And in our language, Kisan means messenger.
Right.
We look at him, he's the messenger of the future for our people.
Right.
Yes, sir. All right.
First time in about almost 200 years, the first words out of this young man's mouth were Shumish words. It was a powerful thing for us to hear him say these words. He speaks almost fluently now. You know, we talk to him all the time, and he understands our language.
That's right.
When I was a younger man, the elders put me up on the hill, and they showed me a vision. And it was all the different houses of all the indigenous peoples of the world. Over each house, there was a rainbow. And then behind me, the sun, it had 2 rainbows behind it. And what they told me was that you have to understand how to bring harmony to the indigenous peoples of the world.
That's right.
So that's what we go for. For us, it's hard for us to admit what the white man has done to us sometimes, because we're a proud warrior people, all the indigenous peoples.
All right.
The only way we can cure the sickness of the white devil is for us to ask those questions that are painful for us to answer. Because that's where growth is going to come from. So what we go through with our way of life is asking those questions. Those ones that are hard for us to answer, and we continue to grow from that. Because we know that eventually we will be strong as indigenous nations across the world.
That's right.
My brother Charlie, he walked from all the way back at the Eastern Gate. His people, they take care of the gate that all the indigenous peoples, they come through. They walked all this way to bring us a wampum belt that was made in the 14th century. And in that wampum belt, there was the prophecies of the 8th fire. And what it talked about was trying to create an understanding amongst the indigenous peoples of the world.
Right.
So when they got here, we went to the western gate. People, we take care of that gate. All the indigenous souls, they leave to go into, we say Shimlashka, the spirit world, the land of the dead.
Yes.
They go through that gate. And we understand he's the keeper of that side, I'm the keeper of this side, and in the future, all the indigenous people that occupy our land, we're going to kick some butt on these people. From our people to our brothers and sisters who came here not by choice, but you're here by choice now. We want to welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Don't ever let any white devil tell you that you're not welcome on Indian land, because we know you are. See, a long time ago, our people, we used to communicate to each other. The people that took care of that side of the world and this side of the world.
That's right.
They were afraid of our strength, so they tried to destroy it. I was just thinking, well, our elder was speaking about the things that they were saying about the minister when the march was getting started, the Million Man March. And they were calling this man the devil and all this and all that. And I said, boy, we must be doing something right, because they're good people. Our people stand up and are proud of ourselves.
That's right.
They have to knock us down. They try to knock us down. Right. Anytime that our people show strength, they try to knock us down.
That's right.
Anytime that our people show love and compassion, they try to knock us down.
That's right.
I never heard this man say anything bad about these crackers, but boy, they're sure saying all kinds of things about him.
That's right.
Which means we must be doing something right.
That's right.
So we're creating an indigenous United Nations, where the indigenous peoples of the world can fight these devils and tell them, quit polluting our ancestors.
All right.
Quit digging up the burials of our ancestors.
That's right.
Quit destroying the future of our
That's right.
children.
That's right.
And we came here to bring that message, to invite the African brothers and sisters that are here on our soils to join us in that struggle.
Yes, sir.
So that we can, in the future, we can teach these people who have tried to destroy us that nothing they can ever do with their tanks and their guns will ever destroy the spirit of our ancestors.
That's right.
And to our indigenous brothers and sisters, we want to say thank you for letting us in your house.
That's right.
We know when we rid the enemy of our earth, we pray to Allah that after we get rid of the real enemy, that you, again, as you already have, thank you for welcoming us to your part of the country. We know California is yours.
That's right.
And on behalf of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, I want to offer, as a token of our appreciation and solidarity to our indigenous brothers and sisters of this land, I want to, on behalf of Minister Louis Farrakhan, Brother Awashte, give to you this book called the Holy Quran. And we're going to give to you, we don't have any copies because they sell quite fast, but we also want to give you a copy called Message to the Black Man.
All right.
And the word black don't just mean a people.
Yes, sir.
But it is the essence of which all people come from.
Yes, sir.
So I want to go and give to you and your people this copy of the Holy Quran. You in America, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I know we so glad and the devil so mad. These are souls he thought he had. Oh, they hate our unity, brother.
Yes, sir.
I mean, brother said it best. I'm not going to use his words, but y'all know I'm known for that.
All right.
But we are going to kick some, in a spiritual way first.
Yes, sir.
So again, I want to thank them. And I want all of us after the meeting, let's shower them with love.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank them for that. Now I want to move on with our program. How many of you believe what you heard today to be the truth and good for our people? Would you raise your hand? Look at that. Look at that. Thank you. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Now, those of you who believe what you heard today to be the truth and have not yet found yourself a home that teach about yourself, we want to know how many of you now are ready to join on with the bold leadership of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and help us to go after our people. How many of you ready to make that bold stand that have not taken that stand? How many brothers are ready to stand up with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan? Would you raise your hand? In fact, stand up. Taking that bold stand. You could have been at home today watching, not the Super Bowl this week, but I think they got the Pro Bowl. But the pros are in here. Come on, right? That's right. And the bowl is your head. And today God has put some progressive information in your mind. Thank you for being here with us. And we welcome you back home to the nation of Islam. So brothers, there's some brothers called angels at the end of the aisle. They will take you to a place and give you some love.
All right.
Brothers, would y'all please lead our brothers and get their name and their address? Let's give these mighty brothers. We want to make a few announcements at the end of our meeting. But brothers and sisters, we get into a part that wisdom and wealth have to come together at some time in our program.
That's right.
We don't want you at this part of the program to vacate and say, I knew it was coming. Well, the Nation of Islam, we speak the truth regardless of circumstance.
That's right.
But we will try not to be like traditional religious people, that we know today that the money that we're going to ask you for, we cannot and will not send it to God.
That's right.
We do not know God's address. If I knew where God was, I certainly wouldn't be here. I would love to sit with the Creator and ask Him some things about myself that I need to know to help correct self. Because all of us need help, is that right? And if God appeared to us today, the first thing we should ask Him for is what? Mercy. Is that right? So, brothers and sisters, we're taught by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan that we can have the greatest ideas in the world. But if wisdom and wealth don't come together, your idea would die on the table. That's right. But we're going to ask you to dig deep and reach deep in your pocket today so that we can continue the struggle for liberation of our people. We got to send some money to Pacific Bell, since you want to know where it's got to go. We have to send some money to Inglewood Water, Light, and Gas Company. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Those are the addresses. If you don't believe we're going to send it there, ask them, do we pay our bills? We have a mortgage that we have to pay. We have a school upstairs, brothers and sisters, the best school in the universe.
That's right.
Oh, y'all don't like that? You don't need a beautiful building to teach wisdom.
That's right.
But wisdom can be taught under a tree. That's right. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, we need to take our children out of the hand of our enemies. Those schools that you send your children to are called the killing fields.
Yes,
when they leave home, and our indigenous brothers and sisters, as well as ourselves, can tell us, they may leave an original indigenous person, but by the time the enemy gets through with them, they want to be white. Is that right? We got to take them out of the devil's school and teach them ourselves. You need to help us. Now, if you can give money to Jerry and his snotty-nosed kids, certainly you can help your own.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So I'm asking, who today got $1 million that you can part with? See, we don't ask for small things. We ask for big things.
Yes, sir.
You never can tell. There may be a billionaire in here today. All right. How many of you, in truth, if you really had $1,000 to give, how many of you would give? Income tax coming up soon, right? See, the white man don't ask you, he just take it. And he let you know he took it on your check called FICA. Whatever that means. So, again, who has the first $100 that they can part with? And let us recognize you if you got $100. Let's give Brother Anthony a hand. So he gave 100, so we don't need 10,000 anymore. Yes, we need 9,900. Let's do this in about 5 minutes. Who else got $100? Anybody else? I see a sister with $100. Hurry up,